All right, BGR podcast episode 6. We got a guest on, our first guest, HenriHeck.
Woo!
So today we don't have Max. We've got me, Warrawana. We got Faunatron and HenriHeck. How the hell are you guys?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good on a good Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes, sweet.
Rocking on a Sunday, trying to get some gaming done, the usual.
Yep. And just so you guys are out there know, if you already subscribed, you'll know it already. But we've started doing our YouTube reviews of our of the games that we review on our website. The website's going great, but we always wanted to add video reviews to the mix, and they're going really well. So thank you for supporting those and commenting, and I hope you like them and give us feedback if you've got feedback. And yeah,
people are like, why don't you make videos? And I'm like, it's a lot of work. And then they're just like, yeah, just do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I don't know. And then we started doing it, but yeah, we're happy that people are enjoying it because it is a lot more work. Like writing is one thing, but making a video that's worth watching for like 7 to 10 minutes is another thing.
Yeah. So like I had feedback from one of my mates. He goes, are you guys just basically reading out the written reviews? I'm like, yeah, so it's not intended to be like two different reviews. That'd be a bit, I guess, weird, doing two different reviews. It's just our thoughts read out for people. Not everyone wants to read or has time to read. More people have time to listen or watch. And so it's good to have both. I said most people won't go to both, but the website will still be that database that, that Jimmy's putting all the work in to have all the stats and stuff. So long term, that's going to be amazing. So yeah.
I did cut out my little bit of shade that I throw at God of War in the video. So I was so tempted to put that clip in there and then some other shit. But like I was like, nah. I was like, just stick to talking about Star Wars Outlaws.
Henri just skims the website review and just skims it. Where's the God of War? Hey, oh, there it is.
That's I say somebody every time I see it, and then because I was watching the video, and I was like, all this sound pretty familiar, you know what I mean? Because it's the written, but I understand the hard work and stuff to go into it. So you don't want to do two different reviews, even though you got a written and a video. But I look for the God of War shade. I like the God of
War. Too many people praise that game. We got to have some sort of balance.
Take it down a notch.
So moving on to our first sort of not topic, but what have you been playing this year that you find is your favorite game, Henri?
So far, Space Marine 2. It's not how they say recency bias, but at first, before I finished the campaign, I had it. Because Stellar Blade was my favorite game of the year so far, but just the
physics, right? Stellar Blade.
The sheer funability of it and the shooting, and it's just brutal, and I don't know. It's just I love everything about the game, man.
I heard a lot of hype about Warhammer or Space Marine 2.
From what you're saying, it sort of has something for everyone, whether you want to just play single player, co-op, or you want to play PvP. Yeah. I've only played a short amount. Like I said, damn, these missions are long. And
they're pretty long.
Yes. So that's why I quickly jumped. Yeah. So what about it makes it your? What about that game puts it on top out of everything else? Like, obviously it's good, but what makes it the standout?
Well, for me, it's the I feel like they really nailed the feel of being a Space Marine. You feel the weight of it, and how I described it's like you play Titanfall 2, and you inside of the mech, how you feel kind of heavy and you feel the weight of the mech. They kind of translated that kind of feeling into playing as Titus, playing as a Space Marine, and the shooting is solid, especially the feedback you get from the DualSense controllers. Just everything about it just feels so. I don't know, just somebody, man, to put hairs on my chest, man. I love that game, man.
That's awesome.
No, that's good. Yeah. I've heard comments. Like I've played a little bit, as you know. I've played a couple of the missions, but. It's not a negative thing that the missions are so long, but just for me, it's harder to get that solid period. But definitely not a negative thing. But what I felt was it's sort of like a 360 game in the best way.
Okay.
Like it reminds you of a 360 game in the sense that it's not trying to push all these sort of like hand-holdy things. It's just that, that the gritty gameplay and just, it's not a negative remark at all. It's just sort of like making you nostalgia of like a 360 era, but with obviously better visuals and stuff like that. But yeah, the weight I definitely felt of the character. Yeah.
Yes, it's super solid, especially like all the violence and blood and gore, and like when you get like swarmed by all the enemies, and you can do the I forget the name of the mechanic where like you stun them and the target lock appears above the head, and you can kind of like pull your pistol out and do your killing blow or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you
Like a
change some of
finisher.
those and your executions and all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
you get it kind of like a flow, and it's so tight, man. I love that
Yeah.
game.
It's technically not like an execution because you can do it even when it's not an execution strike, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah. Like you
yeah.
can do
No,
it
no. I was just
without.
saying because Jimmy said like an execution, but it's an interesting mechanic because it is just sort of like a bonus additional hit that you can do, and I
Mhm.
like that it's not just triggered on execution. So yeah, it's
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
I like it. Yeah, it's going to get into that. So
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
It looked
So
like
let's
just a good time, like that game. It just
yeah.
looked like you in there, you just mow down a bunch of mobs, and it's just like, I don't know, like you have that constant threat because there's just so many hordes
Oh,
coming after you,
that's
and
it. You
just
never feel safe. You never feel relaxed. Yeah,
yeah.
in a
Get
good
so
way.
hyped just thinking about it.
Yeah,
My adrenaline. Yeah.
yeah. Like that would definitely be a rad game to co-op with like a friend, and then like
Oh,
just like
it's tight. It's tight co-oping with the homies in the
yeah.
PVE portion of it. Me and Will, we ran through all the PVE missions last Sunday. It was so they super long too. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you they're like about 45 minutes long a piece. So
Yep.
you get a good amount of content inside the game, and
Yep.
it's fun. We kind of it took us like 3 days to get through all of them.
Are there
Nice.
like drops for like different weapons, and like how does that work with co-op, or like is it pretty split between the amount of drops that it gives you, or does each person have their own loot per se?
No, it's not really loot based. It's where like it because you select your class before you go out to the mission.
Okay, I get you.
And each class you can select you can put together 3 different loadouts. And at certain points within the mission you get it's drop pods that'll be there, and you can change your loadout from those drop pods inside of the mission. I think it's like halfway through the mission you'll just come across one. But
Nice.
it's
No,
not
like
really
that. That's
drops.
the
I
worst
mean,
when you're co-oping with a friend in a game like that, and then like they keep taking like the OP weapon, and they just like give you whatever's left over, and you're like, all right, I guess I get the pistol for again, and then they're like rocking the
You just feel like
M1.
you're player
yeah,
too. You
nah.
just
The
feel
only
like,
thing that's in there is kind of like drop based is gene seeds. You can pick up gene seeds, and only one of you can pick up a gene seed. And
Okay.
to my knowledge, it's kind of like a currency you'll use to unlock different things for your weapons, like perks and whatnot. Because in
Okay.
PvE, you got perks and stuff you can put on your class and on your weapon, which you don't have that in PvP. In PvP, there's no perks or anything like that.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me when I played this it's a totally separate game, but like Doom Eternal, and I would have loved to have been able to co-op that with a friend, because like those levels would have been so much fun with a friend, and just like mow out a bunch of those zombies and like all the monsters and enemies and stuff. So it's really cool that Space Marine 2 does that. So like you can just have a good time with your friend, and then I bet you they just like increase mob density or maybe make them a little bit harder when you have a co-opper in there. But I don't know, like there's just something about those types of games that are just so much more fun with a friend. Like I don't know.
I think I know what you're saying about how they'd have to balance things out for an extra person, but I think the beauty of how they designed Space Marine 2 is that you always go in with 3 people. Even if you're not, yeah. So you've always got two NPCs with you.
So it's like tuned that way anyway.
Yeah. So while maybe there is behind the scenes something that does get added if you do have a friend, it's just I did see commentary that a lot of people were complaining that the AI is not helping as much. But as I've spoken to Henri, it just seems like maybe that means that you need to play better.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Because I mean, because one point that was brought up was how they don't help with like objectives, like they won't go procure objective or do anything objective based, but they pretty much just cover you in whatever you're doing, and in case you go down, they'll pick you back up and they'll hold ground, but they won't go over there and do a task or anything like that. But like I said, I wasn't expecting them to do that. They just be here when I need you. You know what I mean? Pick me
Yeah.
up when I go down. You
Kind of
know.
like Left 4 Dead, like just heal me when I go down.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that game was really good at that. So yeah, like I'm not expecting the AI to like like go push the switch or like go retrieve the item or whatever. Like
Yeah.
just cover me. That's it.
That's it.
They did say they was going to adjust it, make adjustments to the AI. So I guess they took some of those criticisms to, to the bank. But they didn't say exactly what they were going to be doing to them as far as if they will make them seek out more objective based targets or whatever. Or because I've had no problem with it. I played on veteran, and I have no complaints with the AI
They'll just
whatsoever.
make the NPCs do the game for you.
Yeah.
Like, fine, we'll just make them play the game for you. Like there you go.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
just
They
stand
start
there.
like glitching in things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's get into what we've been playing this week. You can even 2 weeks, a month, or whatever, Henry, because it's the first time you've been on. What have you
Good
been
time.
playing other than Space Marine 2? Quite obviously,
All
yeah,
right. Well, obviously,
yeah,
Space Marine too.
yeah.
But I've been playing Evo Tinction since like last Friday. It's one of the games from the China Hero project. It's a stealth hacking type game. It's third person. And it's been pretty fun. It's like, I don't want to say Metal Gear Solid, but people have compared it to that as far as the stealth.
Okay,
It's pretty in depth as far as the hacking abilities you get, and it's well, basically, how it kind of breaks down is you are a scientist and you've been recruited to work on this facility that's like the I don't know how you explain it, but they're like preventative as far as like disasters for humanity. So it's
yeah,
you, a whole bunch of other scientists, and a whole bunch of other people inside this facility, and you're developing like robotics and AI, and there's this mysterious virus that's been unleashed upon the facility and turned all of the
COVID 20,
AIs. Excuse me.
COVID 20, COVID
Oh
20.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, we don't want to get
I
taken
actually
off
forget.
YouTube.
Oh, sorry,
I
sorry,
actually
sorry.
forget what it's called, but
Brovid 20,
I
Brovid
think it's called
20. Yeah,
Red or something like that. I think that's what it's
Yeah.
called.
yeah, yeah.
But it turned all the AI against all the people, and all of the people that work on the facility is gone missing. So it's up to you to figure out what happened, pretty much. So you got to maneuver throughout the facility, avoiding the drone, because they'll kill you. Well, they won't kill you; they'll hack, because the people that work on the facility have implants that allow them to like communicate with the machines and stuff. So they don't really have to do any work. They'll communicate with the machines, and the machines will do the work. And so if they see you and gang up on you, they can hack your implant and cause you to, I guess, have an aneurysm, I guess. But
Okay.
you get
Is it
a
like an
ton of
instant death
abilities.
mechanic? So like if you get discovered by one of the drones, you're done?
Oh, nah, you can. Well, I unlocked the ability called overload. So you'll press L1 and L1 and R1, and it'll kind of like send out a EMP kind of pulse, and it'll stun all of them around, and you can kind of maneuver through the back of them because you got some offensive capabilities.
Okay.
You have it's called an E-blaster, and you can scan the barcode on the back of the drone, and it'll cause it to shut down. Or you can it works at a distance too, except it won't shut them down. But you can run away, and after a certain amount of time of hiding, they'll kind of go back to whatever they were doing. But it's only a certain amount of times you can do that, because each hack and each time they see you, it's kind of like a threat meter. It's called a trace meter though. And each time they see you, or the more hacks you do, it'll kind of fill up a little bit, and it won't go back down until you complete the section, because it's section
Okay.
based,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you're going through
And
each
it's slowly
section of the
hacking. Yeah.
facility.
That's a cool
And
twist.
Yeah.
yeah, so you're not really. I mean, it's ways to get out of trouble, but I've not. It's one section I had real trouble with, and it's just because like 20 different drones in there to maneuver around. It was tough. I was stuck
Okay.
on it on stream for like an hour, but I've been playing that, and I've also been playing, as of yesterday, Gungrave Gore. I started playing Gungrave Gore yesterday, and I'm probably 3-4 hours into it. Maybe it's a fun game. Playing Space Marine made me want to kind of get back into some just old school killing. I
Yeah.
just like
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
that's
nice,
that's
nice.
that's what I've been playing.
What about you,
Nice.
Jimmy?
Oh, I was just telling Henry this before we started recording that I'm still playing Avatar Frontiers of Pandora,
Oh,
and I'm grinding
yikes.
through that game. And then I was like, hey, like, how far am I? And I looked up the mission that I was on, and I looked up all the main quest missions, and I'm exactly halfway still. And I'm just like, ugh. But other than that, obviously, like I'm still like I do like my weekly plays of Elden Ring, and then I've also been playing some old school games on my Switch, some old school Super Nintendo games, just for like a little bit of a getaway. Just hearing Max talk about his experience with Final Fantasy VI and just like how much he's loving that, like I was like, I want to play some old games and kind of just like refresh my palette. And it's good to jump back into older games. I don't know, every now and then, or just like a game that you just pick up and have a little bit of fun with. And then also, when we were talking about Outlaws for the last episode of the podcast, I compared it to Shadows of the Empire, which is an N64 Star Wars game, but I have it on Steam. So I booted it up to record some footage on it, and then I've just been playing that because it's so much fun. I just have nostalgia for that. So yeah, just been grinding that Ubisoft Plus subscription to death before I cancel it at the end of the month. How about you, Wara?
Yeah, so me, I played Space Marines 2 a little bit at the start, and then the Plucky Squire came out, and I'm like, man, I really want to review this game. I've heard so many positive things about it. I'm going to play it. So I paid $1.36 Australian to increase my PlayStation Plus membership to extra for the remaining days of the month. And I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll play the Plucky Squire, because I wasn't sure if I'd like it. I didn't read much about it. I just heard so much hype. So I was like, fine, I'll try it. And it's a puzzle game. So Jimmy, you would hate it.
I'd hate it.
Yeah, and like using words like the English language to like manipulate the world.
Words, even worse.
It's like a sentence.
Literature.
Like, yeah. It's like it says, here lies a metal mushroom. And then if you hit it with your sword, one of the words like metal will go away. Will shake. So you can pick the word metal up and then go to find the word cheese and then put cheese there. And then they become cheese mushrooms, right? No. So you change the sentence.
No.
Yeah. So
right click, delete already.
Yeah. So it's definitely it's a solid, not a Jimmy game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a really cool premise, and then you can even jump out of the book and become into a 3D world. But yeah, so I'll have that review done. I've finished the game. It was good. It was good. You have to like puzzle games, and there's a lot of reading involved. So it's not, a lot of things aren't read out, so it's not going to be for everyone. But played that, and then a little bit of Astro Bot with the twins still, and then
I haven't seen you play a lot of Astrobot still. Like I always see it on your Discord. Like I'm just like, oh, he's back in Astrobot.
On that. So, okay, I have a gripe. This is just going to sidetrack for 2 seconds, all right? This is a message directly to Sony, because I know you're watching. Sony,
obviously,
for the love of God, Sony, please update the PlayStation Portal to allow me to switch between users as easy as on my PS5, because I'm sick to death of having my son play on my Astrobot save and on my account when he could just simply switch over, but it's just too much work to switch to his account on the Portal, and he's playing on the Portal all the time. So please, for the love of God, please, I love the machine. I love the Portal. Just make it easy to switch between users. Okay. Because you have to actually sign out and actually sign in, as opposed to just flicking to another thing on the PlayStation.
That's awful.
Anyway, yeah, it's brutal. It doesn't make sense that they have done it like that. I don't get it. But anyway, other than that, great device. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that, just helping him with that. And then I played some Deadlock last night. Steam's new like early access game. I love that game. If that doesn't do well,
I gotta try that out, because you got me a code for that, and I feel stupid having it and then not activating it.
Yeah. I mean, we could always co-op, go through the intro stuff, which is all like on your own, and see how you like it. If you just hate it, we won't. But yeah, see how you go. And then I downloaded the Final Fantasy 16 demo just to see how that went on my laptop. It went pretty good. It looks really good, and performance was okay. I didn't do a full test or anything, but seemed pretty good. Just wanted to see how it ran. And
that game looks so good. Like I was so because I know I got to finish Avatar, but I installed it because I bought it because I loved it on PS5, but I was like, I can't wait for it to come out on PC, and then I'll play the DLCs on PC. And then I was just like, dude, this game is so good. Like it looks. I
love that game.
Yeah, I was so ready to shit on that game. Like I was like, this is gonna be another mid Final Fantasy game. But it so surprised me. But just going back to it and just seeing the visuals, you're just like, man, dude, that proprietary game engine that they use looks so good compared to UE4, but like it is what it is.
Yeah, like the game looks amazing even on all the lowest settings as well. Like it's funny because if someone was like, "Oh, how do you describe a Final Fantasy game?" It would be like a one way. But then if someone asked me describe Final Fantasy 16, and I'd be like, it's a fucking roller coaster of like amazing combat. Like it's just so fun. Like it's just action, 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 action. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just nonstop, just action. Yeah, it's great. And it made me realize that I don't hate all cinematic games. I just don't prefer them. Yeah, like yeah.
There's
so
a few I definitely the beginning of that game is a bit of a grind because there's a lot of exposition and like story build up, which can get a bit fatiguing. But I feel like they were really good at like dropping you in moments where like there were big action pieces, and then like the first icon fight is like pretty quick, so like it gets you amped up. So like you're invested, but. I feel like what's his face from Digital Foundry, who does a lot of the PC things. Like he wrote a tweet and he was like, "Yeah, this is definitely not my type of game." Yeah, it's Alex for sure. He's like, "This isn't my type of game because it's like it is a lot of dialogue moments." And I was like, I get that for the first bit, but I'm just like, oh, just people need to push just a little bit, like past like until like you're like adult Clive, and then you're good. I would say.
Yeah.
I enjoy every portion of that game. The only thing I got complaints about was like the performance mode on PS5. But aside from that, I've got another 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, like performance, like I thought it was actually pretty good because they did do a lot of trickery. So like whenever you're in combat, you were locked 60 FPS. Yep. But when you're out in the outer world traversing, that's when you would dip to like the high 40s and stuff. And it wasn't like super noticeable, but it was like there were times where you would feel the dips and you're just like, yeah, okay. But the fact that they got it to lock 60 during combat, which is, I would argue, like one of the more important parts, like I was like, okay, at least they did that. Like that's what I appreciate, that they were like, any way necessary, get it to 60. And it's like, yeah, is the fidelity as good in those moments? No, but I do appreciate that they did that. So for players who do prefer performance mode, you get that piece of it.
You know how I get my maximum pump? When I'm listening to the BGR podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Nothing better than getting some games while I'm listening to the S-tier gaming discussions on the Base Game Reviews podcast. Go follow them on Spotify and Apple Podcasts today. Gotta get back to my workout. 100 sets to go.
All right, so now it's time for Warra's Mechanical Talk.
Warra's Mechanical Talk.
Sorry. All right, so okay, here we go. Reloading mechanics in games such as Gears of War. Sorry, we're talking about movie games. Gears of War and Returnal. The perfect reload system, and just how well they suit the gameplay. So you're pressured in, say, Gears of War or Returnal. Returnal, I feel like you both have played.
Yes.
Yeah. The reload, like you're under pressure and you just really want to hit that perfect reload. And same with Gears of War. You know, I think that at face value, when you first see these systems, some people may not really like that. Oh, there's something else to do to reload, but you don't have to engage in it. It's really just to speed up the reload. You can try and go for that faster reload and get benefits from it. I just love this mechanic. I just love this mechanic. I've only got those two examples, but I'm sure there's more games that have a similar system.
Funny enough, Star Wars Outlaws has that system too.
Oh, actually, I hate this system. I think any game that has this system in it,
yeah, garbage, complete garbage.
No, but okay, that's interesting.
I haven't played Gears of War though, so I didn't know that they had that first.
Sorry? Gears
of War?
Yeah, they had it from 360, and I'm pretty sure the newest one, Gears 5, still has it. Have you played any of the Gears, Henry?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes,
yeah, cool. Yeah.
And I think it's called Active Reload.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting, and it adds like another layer to the combat. You know what I mean? It's a lot to pay attention, especially in Returnal. You already got the bullet hell stuff to pay attention to, all the enemies, and then you want to get that perfect timing of the reload. And again, like you say, you don't have to engage with it, but if you want to be optimal, engage with that mechanic and take the time to try to learn and get the timing down. And I haven't played in a while. I'm not sure if it's different depending on which gun you're using. But if you have a favorite gun, get that timing down, and
It is, because if you have the rocket
it.
launcher, you only get 3 rockets, so it's a little bit like you'll go through your rockets a lot quicker, and then you gotta really be good at your reloads.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. Like, exactly what you said, because it adds that layer of like technical ability. So like if you're a spaz, you can just hold on to R2 and just blow through your ammo, and then you won't hit the reload, and then you'll just be mashing R2 and like not getting anything. But then you will eventually reload, but a lot slower, and then it'll kick in, and you can go back to mashing R2. And like, yeah, you're not efficient yet. But like if you are someone who's mastered the mechanic and like took a few moments, then yeah, like it's just an added level of skill, and then you can go through reloads a lot quicker, and you're just way more proficient, and just like you'll just take less damage because you'll just be like outputting way more bullets.
Yeah, especially in games that are single player games that aren't sort of competitive. It does add a little bit of a skill gap. So you have people who don't do well with those systems, and then someone who do really well with those systems, and they'll pull away, and they'll be able to have more enjoyment. And any system in a game like this that has that skill gap, but it is able to be completely avoided. I really love those types of systems in games. I love mechanics like that.
Yeah.
That gives you the ability to, really just ADHD, if you've got, if you want things to be even more intensive, you can just like actually engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a great system. Can you elaborate at all on the Star Wars Outlaw one, Jimmy, on how, if it's any different, or is it just any benefit to it, or is it just like they wanted combat to be less boring? Because I feel like you could just add the system to any game and it would just not actually be additive, and it's just, I don't know. I haven't played Outlaws. Yeah.
So what they do is they add a UI when you're shooting off the blaster, and you've got like a set amount of blaster pulls before your gun overheats, and then it'll give you that little window where you can just press R2 again, and then your blaster won't overheat. So and I think you could go, because after we talked a couple episodes back, and we talked about like the door hacking mechanic, and you just go in accessibilities and like turn that off. You can go in accessibility, and you can make the window like super big, and then that way like you can reload so much quicker. But
Jimmy,
I was still like, damn, okay, they've actually put this in the game. Like I respect that. Like, wow, one good mechanic.
and honestly, Jimmy, just between me and you, did you turn that on?
I 100% did. Like, as soon as I started playing, I was like, oh yeah, Wara said I could just turn off hacking doors. And I was like, yeah, I'm turning that off. I tried one time and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm absolutely removing that barrier. And I 100% did. And I don't regret it one bit.
All right. Anyone got anything further?
Bitch.
Anyone got that any further? No, that's good.
No, like for me personally, like I'm terrible at FPS games. So like War has watched me more than once where like I have like 3 bullets in the clip, and I should be pressing X to reload or square to reload, and then I don't, and I'm hiding behind like an obstacle, and then I go to shoot an enemy and I run out of ammo, and then I'm like jammed up because I got to reload and I haven't. So I love games where they do it for you, but there's also that little window where you can reload a little bit quicker, like if you get more proficient. But I suck at like remembering to press reload, and I always run out of ammo.
Yeah, like Henry, I was watching Jimmy play Cyberpunk near the start, and I was like, go ADS, and Jimmy's like, what's ADS?
Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. I was trying to play keyboard. He just doesn't that was the first game I was trying to play keyboard and mouse though, and then I was like, I don't know any of the controls on keyboard and mouse. And then when I switched back to controller, I was like, okay, this is a bit more familiar, I can get this. But now I'm trying again. I played through Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I played through Black Ops 1 and 2. I did those keyboard and mouse, and I was like, all right, but I was still on the easiest setting, and I would still die a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's process, man.
Yeah. Once you get used to it, you'll be right. All right. Next topic. We got Game of the Year nomination predictions and Game of the Year winner predictions. You want to get this rolling? Henry, what are your thoughts?
Well,
so Game of the Year, remember, they nominate 6 games. So what do you think?
Yep. All right. I'll say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep.
I'll say Black Myth. Wukong.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it gets tough.
Right.
Let me think.
I had to look up what games came out
Yeah,
this year and which ones
feel
I
free to look
beat.
up. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's
don't
tough.
stress.
It's
Don't
tough.
stress.
I played a few games. So I put Grand Blue Fantasy Relink on there.
I heard a lot of good things about that.
Yeah, I put that on there.
Oh yeah, yep.
So I'm at what, like four right now?
Yeah.
All right, 4. Gotta say Stellar Blade.
Nope. But okay. Stellar
Stellar
Blade.
Blade, put Stellar Blade on there. And I'm gonna put Indiana Jones on there.
Is that coming out before the end of the year?
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Well, December 8th, so I'm not sure whether
I don't know if
it might
it'll
not
meet the
make the cutoff.
cusp.
It might not make the cutoff.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2.
Wow.
or Hellblade.
Hellblade 2, yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
You know why? Like that might get nominated just because of like the visual fidelity.
Yeah, gotta show them some love. Put them on there, man. Go ahead,
Yeah.
put them up.
Yeah.
Man.
But as a game,
All right,
terrible
put that
game.
list up for Henry. Put that list up on the screen for Henry.
Okay.
And which one do you think will win at the awards?
Black Myth.
Black Myth, yep.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting.
Or Persona 3 Reloaded came out. Jimmy, who do you think? Do you have a list or?
Okay, so my list is pretty close to Henry. So Wukong's definitely going to be on there. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I put Helldivers 2 because that was just such a huge phenomenon, like in January till like whatever when it was like really hype. Space Marine 2, I definitely think will be on the list. Palworld, I think will be on there as well.
Forgot about that one.
And Dragon's Dogma 2, I think will also be on there. Just
Forgot
as
about
like, but like Stellar Blade, I think will win Action Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Or might be nominated for Action Game of the Year. I think Wukong is not going to win, and that's going to upset a lot of people. And but I really hope that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth wins Game of the Year because it's so good. Like anyone who's played the original Final Fantasy VII and then playing Rebirth, it was such a love letter to that game, and it was just done so well. I really hope it wins. But Wukong is just such a phenomenon, and just like, what is it at 20 million sales? Like it's just like
it's really
just crushing sales, and people are like, well, it's from China, and it's just like money's money, dude. Like
China has humans as well.
Yeah, there's over a billion people there. Yeah, like, and that's like a huge story. Like Journey to the West is a huge cultural story in China. So yeah, a lot of people are going to be playing that game. But if anything, I would want Wukong to win Action Game of the Year, and I want Stellar Blade to be nominated there as well. But I really, really, really hope, and this is my dream, is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth wins Game of the Year. But I think all those other games just get nominations just for like niceties.
Yeah. Well, I think that the people who will be nominated, will be nominated: Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Animal Well, because it got a really high Metacritic score, and it's an indie game, but Jeff seems to always want to chuck in like one indie in there. So I think Animal Well will get a nomination for Game of the Year. Also, I think The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is going to be.
They're not going to throw a remaster in Game of the Year. No way.
Yeah. Okay.
That's mad copium. That's mad copium right there.
I hope they don't. I hope I'm wrong. Like I believe me. I hope I'm wrong. And then what were the other ones that we said? I think Helldivers 2 will be nominated as Game of the Year just because of how much. So for me, Game of the Year needs to be a game that makes a really big impact.
Totally.
Which is why I don't think Astrobot should win it, because while it's a really solid game, like we reviewed it, like BGR reviews spat out a 91 for its score. Like that's a really good score. But I don't think the game's made enough impact to be considered like actually Game of the Year. And that's the only reason I think The Last of Us Part 2 will be nominated is because it got a big score. And it's such a beloved game. Like it's got so many nominations. Won so many awards. And then I think that I think Hellblade 2 will also, like Henry said, be nominated for Game of the Year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what else
Move on,
that
man.
I'm surprised none of us mentioned is the Zelda game that's come out.
Oh yes. Do I have
Like
a
they're
sixth
gonna,
one?
like you
Have I
think
said
they're
have I
probably
said
gonna throw Nintendo at least one nomination.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I feel like that's going to hit so hard as well. So if I do have a sixth game, I can't remember how many I've said, then I'll say Echoes of Wisdom. I feel like that's gonna land so well. I think it's going to be just amazing. But let's see when it actually comes out.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask, was the Mario Brothers game? Does that game come out this year?
I'll
'Cause
check.
if that game come out this year, that game probably end up
Oh yeah,
yeah,
100%.
if it meets the cutoff.
Brothership official announcement. Brothership.
And does that have a release date?
November 7th. Yeah, wow. Yeah, good point.
That's
point,
just
Henry.
before the cutoff.
Yeah. So that could come out, and also, yeah, good point, Henry.
You know what's funny
thought
when we
about
bring
that.
that up is like I know a game is huge when I start to see it on like my TikTok feed or like in Twitter a lot. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't see like a lot with Astrobot.
Yeah, and like obviously Henry can speak for himself, but he made a comment which I agree with, where he said, "If it doesn't sell well, I'm gonna be tweeting about it." Right? And I'm just like, yeah, I have the same thought.
Yeah,
a lot of people were talking
this
about
is the game
game
they want.
of the year. Yeah. So hopefully it sells well. We haven't heard sales figures yet, and I use that same logic as well, Jimmy, for how much of an impact a game made, and there's no denying how much of an impact Helldivers 2 made.
No,
and I feel
absolutely
like
not.
I feel like Space Marine 2 is also gaining a lot of traction. I didn't put it on my game of the year list because I feel like it's just going to get lost, and it's I don't know. I feel like it's not going to get. It's going to be like a Hogwarts Legacy. It's going to be bought heaps, played heaps, just not win anything, and that's just I don't know. That's just what I think. Yeah, we'll see.
Like
Time will tell.
Spider-Man 2.
Did people? Yeah, I mean, it sold really well. Yeah, there's no denying it sold really well. Yeah,
Yeah, it was bundled with a lot of PlayStations.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Do they release the split for bundled versus unbundled? I don't know.
No, they don't release that data.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, is everyone done with that?
Yeah, I feel good about that. So you heard it here first. Our predictions for Game of the Year 2024 winners. So we'll see who's right.
Comment in the video below what you predict are the top 6 and who you think will win.
Or if you think we snubbed anybody.
Yes, yeah. All right.
Yeah, man.
No,
What's
I
that?
can't even.
I said, I don't think we snubbed anybody this time, man.
No, that's it. All right. So the first BGR video reviews. I did mention it before, but how did you go with your review, Jimmy? With you've done Star Wars Outlaws, I've done the Astrobot video reviews. How did you feel the process? And
so Wara and Max and I, we talk, like we have meetings about content that we want to produce. And for me, the way that I produced video reviews in the past was I would record my entire playthrough of a game. That way, like whenever I encountered weird things, I can just clip that part out of my playthrough, and then that I can bring it up as an example during the review. I didn't do that for Star Wars Outlaws, and so when I wanted to bring up points, I'm like, oh, I really wish I had footage to bring up to really emphasize that point. And then Wara was just like, oh, why don't you just use the GeForce overlay and you could just do little like snapshots like you do on console? And I was like, but what? And then I didn't even know about that stupid feature.
Such a fake PC gamer. Oh,
I know, right? Like people would be insulted if they saw what I use. I treat my PC like a console. Like I don't use it for daily driver. I don't do any. All I do is just open up my Steam library and play games on it. But yeah, so it was good because like I kind of had like a format down, and that's what I shared with Wara, like how we should do our videos. And I take a lot of inspiration from like the Digital Foundry. They're kind of the way that they review games. It was just having the footage personally, and because I don't like to rely on like having to get footage from other places, like ripping other people's YouTube videos and then like giving them credit. But I want it to be a lot of our own footage, so that was a learning experience for me. And then just like putting in things that add a little bit of extra, like that you don't get from other video reviews. So that's why I love doing like the FPS breakdown and the performance breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. Also bringing up like actual mechanics in the game and like making comparisons rather than just being like, this sucks or like, I don't like it. So
Yeah.
but it was good. It was good to get that out. And it's awesome that the reception that we're getting, a lot of people, I feel like there's a purpose for both mediums. There's a purpose for written reviews for people who like to like just have something to read while they're in transit or just like on a break or just want something to just like read real quick. And then also the video avenue where people can actually watch something. And then so no, it's cool. I'm glad that we're starting to do it and we're getting like our own little process down for it.
No, that's it. Yeah. Out of interest, Henry, you did show that you used our website's scoring system.
Yeah, man.
How did you find that as a user? How did you find the process? Like, did you have any feedback?
Pretty easy, man. Pretty like
Sweet.
it was like a ease of use, like your standard, internet poll type of very satisfied kind of deal, except with numbers. It was pretty straightforward and easy. I don't imagine anybody would have an issue like using. I even shared it with one of the homies. He's playing. He beat Black Myth Wukong, and I shared it with him, and he used y'all system in order to rate it, and it ended up getting like a 91 on there. So
nice.
it don't take any time to just run through it, man. It's a good system y'all put together, man.
Yeah, sweet.
Love to hear it.
It's tight.
Is it cool to like go through each section and you're like, oh, I really didn't think about that particular subsection?
Yeah, it does make you do that because I think it had been like a couple days. I either had beat it the day before or like a couple days, and so I was going through it, and it really do make you think about like each thing independently, because like me, I play a game, either I had fun or I didn't. Either it was tight or it wasn't, but I have to go through each of those sections, and it like caused me to think a little deeper about what about the game I liked, broken down into each individual section and how much I like it, especially that part about the enemy variety or the bosses, and then it had a section for like boss music too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I had to score it a little bit low on that because the boss music when all that hit,
Yeah.
It's just those little things, right?
Yeah, makes it. Yes. Sorry, go Jimmy. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, when you go from a game like Pinnacle, like Final Fantasy 16, and it's just like that boss music, like so over the top. They have like opera in it, like it's just like it's incredible. And then you go to some games that like just do the bare minimum, and they have like a little bit more high tempo, like kind of game music, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I get it, but like there is that disparity, but. No, like when we made this review system, our focus is as gamers, so we didn't want to focus on like story and graphics and things like that. So that's why the gameplay section is such a huge portion of the review system, because like a game like Hellblade 2 has like insane fidelity and all this stuff, but it's just like, is the gameplay there? It's like, no, not really. Like you're pretty much just pushing forward a lot of the times, and then you hit the interact button from time to time. So that's why that game will get a very high graphics score, but it'll get very low on a lot of the gameplay sections of it, and that's why it'll kind of tank its total score. So that's the way that we wanted it, because personally, like, we were tired of seeing like these reviews and then everything's like a 7 or an 8, and it's just like, well, how is that a 7? Like, that game sucked. Like, I did not like you said, Henry, like, I didn't have a good time playing it. Like, so how the hell, in what world is that a 7 or an 8?
Yeah. So speaking on that, it's sort of like how Asmongold was reacting to a video of IGN sort of defending their scores, and he was pointing out how they have to now make comments about, we gave Redfall a 7 and Concord a 7, and like they have to defend that everyone else was giving all the games the same score to sort of justify their dumb system. Of like, it's this, and some people will go and they're allowed to, if they want to, they will go and give a game a 1 just because they've got one annoying thing for them. But like, that's not really a correct review for like actually quality and like what it is and stuff like that. And the good thing, like as an example, the good thing about us breaking it down as well is if there is a gamer such as, I'm going to use Hero Down Under. He's a fan of the channel. He's someone who really loves a good story in a game. So if a game reviews poorly with our score, but the story score is like 20 out of 20, and he reads our story section and goes, oh, that really interests me, then he might still play it. Like, I feel like people put too much weight on the final score of a game as well.
Yeah.
Like people go, oh, it's a 91 or it's a 81. Oh, I must enjoy the 91 more. But everyone has their own preferences. And that's why, again, even if the score doesn't end up being what you thought it should be, you look at our breakdown and see what you weigh higher in your preferences. So I want a game with really good gameplay, and then other people will prefer one with a lot better story and audio and things like that. So, and then others, people, like a break point for a lot of people is they won't touch a game with bad performance. So with our system, they can immediately go to the performance, see what we've reviewed that on, and then help them there. So yeah,
for me as well. Like, there are games that I just want to completely dunk on. Like, I just want to be like, this game was dog shit. I hated it. But I'll go through each section. I'm like, okay, well, it did have this, and then like it did have pretty decent enemy variety, or like it'll like, and then I'll put through my final score, and then I'll look at it. I'm like, well, that actually came out a lot higher than I thought it would. And then, but I want to be fair, so like I'll be like, okay, it is what it is. And then sometimes I'll even do an audit, and I'll go through each score, and I'll go through like how we rate between 1 and 5, and I'm like, okay, was it really this? And then some even end up like higher. Like I'll be like, okay, I was a little bit mean there, it's got to be a this. And then I'll be like, damn, that it still ended up as like a 60 something, or like even in the 70s. Like I think my Starfield review like ended up in the 70s, or I don't know. But
what a shill.
I know. I was shill, Xbox shill. Yeah. I get Game Pass for free on the reg, everybody. But no, like no, it just goes to show like when you rate things fair. But no, I get what you're saying there too. Like, it's good for people who have different weights and what they like more in game. Like if you're more a story person, let's look for the story section. Okay, they rated it really high. That must mean it's got what I want in a game, and then I'll try it out.
What's wrong?
I'm trying to decide what game to buy, but all these 3-letter review sites rate everything a 7, and I don't know who to trust. Help me, stranger.
Well, hell, have you heard of BaseGameReviews.com? The only website to use a transparent and detailed, in-depth review system that's open to everybody, that doesn't have a bunch of bought and paid for reviews, allegedly. So go there right now, BaseGameReviews.com.
You just threw away my laptop.
Don't you have a phone?
I guess.
Perfect! BaseGameReviews.com is optimized for phones as well. Now take that booger-picking finger and go to BaseGameReviews.com.
I'm there right now.
BaseGameReviews.com. Be there.
Motherfucker.
All right, moving on to the next topic. This is a first starter for us here. Jimmy's going to run a little guessing game. So, are you ready, Henri? Sorry to
yeah, we're gonna put you on the spot here, because how long? We didn't even ask. How long would you say you've been gaming for? Like, what was the first real console where you started a game on?
Sorry, Jimmy.
It's a while. Because I mean, I played on OG Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn.
Nice.
The first system I actually put hardcore time. Well, I won't say hardcore.
Yeah.
But as hardcore as I could as a youth was probably the Sega Genesis. I played a lot of it was a Beavis and Butthead game.
Oh
I played a lot of that. Yeah, and I played Sonic and Knuckles, and it was a game called Charcan. And it was a tough game. I have no business playing it, but I played Charcan, and then it was an X-Men game I played a lot of. But I'll say I put a lot of time in that. But my favorite console at that time was the 64. And Zelda Ocarina of Time. That was the first game I ever ever stayed up all night playing. I stayed up all night playing it, and at the next day at my grandmother's house, I had hallucinations. I never forget.
Just I'm grinding Ocarina of Time all night, and then just like having hallucinations. Love it. Okay, so I would say you're an OG like hardcore gamer. So this should be fucking peanuts for you. So we're gonna play Guess the Character.
Guess the character.
Okay, so you can kind of guess where this is going. So, Henry, guess the character.
I would say it's Mario.
Okay,
I
well,
would say.
well, you'd be wrong because it's Master Chief. It's okay. Rough start.
Okay.
Rough start.
Yeah,
It's
rough
okay.
start,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
You got a couple more chances. All right, let's keep
That
going.
was
Alright.
a warm up. It was a warm up.
Okay, who do you think this is?
Doom guy.
Wrong. That's Ellie from The
Oh.
Last of Us.
Okay.
Aren't you a big PlayStation
Thanks.
gamer? Like I thought you would just like.
Jimmy, these are really hard. I got 0 out of 2 as well.
Okay, this
this
should
is an
be
easy one.
a really known one.
Okay. I'm gonna guess Donkey Kong.
Well, you'd be wrong. That's Aloy. But Henry has never played Horizon, so okay, forgive him, everybody. Like, come on, give him a break. Give him he didn't play that game. Okay. What about this next one? This is a pretty recent one.
Sackboy.
What was your guess?
Sackboy.
Sackboy. Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually Crash Bandicoot. So
Oh, that's a miss. You should have used the Crash Bandicoot from the game. From the Astrobot game. Yeah.
Yeah, it would've been tight,
wow. I didn't intend to make this. I thought this was just going to be a slam dunk. Okay, so let's go with the last one here.
All right.
I'm gonna guess Yoshi.
Yoshi.
I feel like he's put this one as the actual one.
They were all the actual ones.
I swear, Henry, I didn't know. I just feel like that's
Okay.
what he was gonna do.
1 out of
Hey, it was
5.
better. It was better.
You get what kind of gamer score could we give you for that? We'll give you a Hellblade 2 as a gamer score.
Hey, man. Hellblade 2 for fidelity.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that was Guess the Character. I hope you guys had fun playing that. Good stuff.
I'm gonna make him
I
next
enjoyed
week,
that.
Jimmy. I'm gonna make him next week.
I'm gonna make it next week. No, I thought that would be a fun game for us to play, just to show off our gamer knowledge there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, now that you gave us a very, very frustrating game, Jimmy. But it
Very
was fun.
fair.
It was fun. Yeah, fair. It was fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry, did you want to take away the FromSoftware 2-minute defense and
Ooh,
put Jimmy in his
okay.
place, please?
Bring
do
it.
Yep.
I'm just gonna utilize the why doesn't FromSoft place a pause button inside of the game?
Okay. So why doesn't FromSoftware put pause in their games? Well, they did in Sekiro. So Sekiro did have a pause button, and I would attribute that mostly to them being partnered with Activision because they took a lot of advice from Activision, and that's why their tutorial was like so in depth in Sekiro. But why I believe that they don't put pause in any of their games is because if you had a pause in those games, you wouldn't have that constant feeling of imminent threat. So if you could just pause at any moment, I feel like that takes a lot away from the experience of those games. I remember when I first had Bloodborne, it was my first FromSoftware game, and I hit the PS button to go back to the PS home screen because I was like, oh, there's no pause button seemingly. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just hit the PlayStation button. And then I went back and my character was dead. And I was like, no! But yeah, like I know a lot of people talk about wanting a pause button and they bring up an example of like, oh, what if I have kids? I got to stop and like go look after my kids. Well, just quit the game out. Like you can quit the game out. And I know that's like a poor man's pause button, but for me, I feel like the direction that FromSoftware wanted to take, and I feel like what they're going for is if you put a pause in your game, you take away a lot of the imminent threat that is constantly going on in their games.
Because usually when I play them, I'll just go ahead and try to get to the next side of grace and then just put the controller down and go do what I gotta do and
There
then
you go.
come back. But yeah. Or just go ahead and die. You know, that's the option. Go ahead and die.
Just
And
roll
then-
off a
and then
cliff.
Start it back up.
Interesting strategy. Let's see if it pays off. Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
When I make my easy mode guides, I always teach people to how to quit out fast. And then, because one thing that I love about FromSoftware games is when you quit the game out, it resets enemy positions in their aggro. So like if you just run through an area and you got a bunch of mobs chasing after you, you just run around a corner, quickly quit out your game, and then you start it back up, and then now they're not chasing you anymore. But in Dark Souls 2, they didn't do that. So like if you quit out in Dark Souls 2, those mobs will still be right around you. And I hated that, especially because in the other Dark Souls games, when you go to a fog wall, you get iframes, so invincibility frames when you interact with the door before you go through it. But also in Dark Souls 2, the invincibility frames don't kick in for like a few seconds. So like if you think you're safe just running to a fog door, like you'll just get mobbed right away, which I hated, and definitely punishes me still to this day. You guys are like,
hey, shout out FromSoftware, man.
Yeah, FromSoftware. Because I suck Miyazaki off on the regular. Well, I feel like I gotta find a way to say that in every single episode.
Yeah. I'll super cut them all together as well for episode 50.
Yeah. Just me glazing FromSoftware, and it's like a 30-minute segment.
Well, thank you for asking that question, Henry.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next thing. We've got unnecessary game remasters. Well, unnecessary, sorry, in quotations. So we're talking about games like The Last of Us remastered, games that were basically on last generation, ported across, and now because we're hearing a leak of, which seems pretty confirmed, but it's not actually officially announced yet, the Horizon Zero Dawn remastered.
And there's also the Days Gone remaster that's also been leaked.
Yeah. So we'll go with Henry first on his take. Henry, on your YouTube channel, you have a video. Sorry to make you go over it again, but anyone can go check out his full take there. But if you're able to discuss it for us here as well, and we can sort of.
Oh yeah, sure.
Talk it through, yeah.
As far as just go down specifically the games themselves, Horizon, I didn't play the first one, so it would be for people like me.
Did you play Forbidden West?
No, I played. I not played.
Okay, so I haven't played either of them.
I didn't play Zero Horizon Dawn.
Okay.
I mean Zero Horizon.
Horizon. That's
the third game.
Yeah. The other one.
I didn't play that one, so you know. I'm gonna get that one, but I understand how people who have, either played them already and beat them and got the platinum, and they're putting it out again, and it was like in its place there could have been a new game, but I feel like it's more so for people who haven't played it, or fans who don't mind playing it again, or want to play it again, or it's gonna be a show coming out, so they'll have a fresh new game on current gen to go check out. So I'm picking it up. But there are some that I don't, I ignore. That, and it's just because I'm not interested in the series at all. We got the Darksiders 2 coming up. I'm gonna pick that one up. Days Gone, I'm gonna pick that one up. So I feel like, are they necessary? No, they're not necessary. But for the people who want them, it's good that they'll be there. So you can enjoy a current version, especially somebody who hasn't played the previous iteration of the game. Because Last of Us 1, I think this was it 3 times that they put that game out? It came out originally,
remastered,
then it got remastered, then it got remastered, remastered.
Well, they had to call it a remake because remastered sounds terrible.
Yeah, because that's kind of that's overdoing. Like, you didn't put the same game out 3 times in 3 generations. You know what I mean? But I bought that one. You know what I mean? So I'm part of the problem. But I understand the criticisms, but I also understand why they do it. Because they're gonna put this joint out. It's gonna sell maybe 3-4 million, and it don't cost them nothing to do it, pretty much. And also training opportunity, because I think Neil Druckmann said it was a training opportunity for
new staff to get comfortable with their game engine.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look at it like this, kind of win-win. They get experience. we get an updated game. It don't cost PlayStation much to make it. You know what I mean? And if it's not for you, it's not for you. If it is, pick it up, enjoy it. And that's pretty much my take on them. But I don't see remasters going away, remakes or remasters going away anytime soon.
No, definitely not.
It's easy money to be made.
That's it.
I agree. That's a very well balanced take. I agree with a lot of that. What did they charge for The Last of Us Part 1? Was it? It was $60, right?
No, 70. I think it was
70.
I'm 99% sure.
And I know the Last of Us Part 2. I think they didn't charge that much if you already own the game on PS4. But I definitely get what you're saying. I think it's a slam dunk for a lot of these studios, because like you said, it doesn't cost them a lot of dev time because you've already got the game made. And like, what do? You up-res the textures, you add a few quality of life improvements that maybe were in a sequel or whatever, you throw them in the game. Maybe you throw in some stuff that didn't make it and was like on the cutting room floor, like they did with The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. They added in some like hidden levels and stuff that were like just kind of, they didn't think was good enough for the full game, but they just threw it in. That's all great. Like, I think that, and then also the side of it as well, it's a great way for new team members to your studio to get used to your game engine so they can be more proficient for whatever's coming out next. And it's also just a great way to generate revenue for your next game. Because again, all these things, low cost, and then it is a win-win. My gripe is the fact that they're doing it and then they're charging like full game prices for it. So for The Last of Us Part 2, I like that. Like, if it was only $10-20, like if you had the original game, I think that's cool. I definitely think that they should do that with like The Last of Us Part 1, even though it was a remake, even though I don't really agree that it was a remake. I feel like it's a slam dunk for those studios to do that. But what I don't like is when they charge full game prices for games that like really didn't need a remastering. So games that I think that are amazing remasters. A great example that I could think of is Metroid Prime remastered on Nintendo Switch. That game rocked. Like, that was an awesome remaster. They really brought that game up to speed. They did add some quality of life stuff. The game looks incredible. It's probably one of the best looking Switch games, and it's a game from 2001. So I think that's a great remaster, and they only charge $40 for that game. So I think that's a win right there. Other games that were remasters that, like, I feel like the director's cuts were like pseudo remasters, I feel like. So that bridge between the PS4 to the PS5 era, so you got like Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, Death Stranding director's cut. I do like the features that they added, but are they $60 games? I don't think so. Like, that's why I do wish that they would have charged a little bit lower and then maybe made a little bit more like, I think they did do with Death Stranding. It was only like $10 or $15 if you wanted to upgrade to the director's cut version, which I liked. I think my biggest gripe is just the price, but what that just tells you is like they're charging what the gamers are willing to pay, and people are willing to pay these prices. So I just think that's a bummer that people are just like so gung-ho for these things when it's like, well, like, can't you see what they're doing? Like, they're obviously like generating revenue for like whatever next game. And especially like, I'm just going to go into speculation mode here. When you worked on a multiplayer live service game for 5 years and then you had to flush it down the toilet, it's like you got to recoup those costs somehow. So it's like, what's the easiest way to do that? Throw out a couple of remasters. And I really found it disrespectful with how they released their PC version for The Last of Us Part 1. How it was just like complete dog shit. And like, that's like a huge IP. You would think that they didn't even get Nixes on it. Nixes is Sony's in-house studio that they own that does all of their PC ports, like all the good ones. And they didn't even get Nixes to do it. They got some other random third party to do it. And they just did like
Iron Galaxy or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And we'll throw it up here. But they just did like the bare minimum. The game just like had a lot of problems. And I just find that part is insulting. And I don't like that we're remastering games that were on the PS4 generation when you can play those games on the PS5 at 60 FPS and they still look great. And it's just like, what are they going to add to Horizon Zero Dawn that's going to be worthy of a remaster? Like, the game's already 1080p 4K with the checkerboard upscaling. Like, the game still looks good. I think like the only thing that they'll do is like subtle lighting effects maybe, and then maybe they'll port it to their current version of the Decima engine, because that's what Guerrilla Games uses. But I don't think it's going to be that incredible. Like, just think about The Last of Us Part 2 remastered versus the PS4 version. Like, when you looked at the side by side, it was like, okay, like a lot of this looks the same. Like, it's just like the lighting is slightly better, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. My sort of take is just these things are made because they sell, and if they keep selling, they'll keep making them. And from a financial standpoint, not that, I'm a gamer, I don't care about this actually, but if I'm asked, I'm pressed on it, I'll say it. If they're making good profit margins on this, they'll keep happening. So
absolutely,
it's if I'm asked the question, is it necessary? Then it's absolutely not necessary.
No,
but it's just, I think Neil Druckmann's commentary is good insight into a reasoning behind it. And I think I want to talk about the psychology part of it, in the sense that the director's cuts, as you said, were widely accepted because they're just called a director's cut. It's sort of a trigger word now to say remastered. And if this Horizon Zero Dawn was called director's cut, then the optics might be better from a general standpoint, when really they're, like you said, they're the same thing. It's just about the optics. But yeah, like, Henry already touched on basically every point. I just sort of, the one thing that I don't think either of you said, which is what I think, is that the PC version of a remastered game like Zero Dawn will not go down well, because that game only released on PC like a couple of years ago, right? So I don't think it was even like it wouldn't be 3 years ago, right? But PC remasters,
I think it was like 2020, 2021 that it came out.
Okay. So it is 3 years, maybe 4. So I don't think that will go down very well with the PC crowd, because of the fact that with how PC's scaling works, with the PS5, it's more justified because it's, actually utilizing, it's a native for PS5 version instead of PS4. So I can see why that makes more sense than the PC asking for an upgrade, or selling a brand new game. Even looking at the backlash of Dark Souls remastered, them removing the original annoyed a lot of people.
Totally.
But yeah, so I don't think, like, if they did that and they removed the old one and you couldn't buy it anymore, like the Horizon Zero Dawn when remastered comes out, I think that will cause a bit of backlash.
I feel like they might do that. I feel like they totally will, and then they'll make it, because I feel like they want to convert all of their games that are offered on PC to have that PSN requirement.
Oh yeah.
So like, how do you do that, right? You remove the old one, but another thing that you touched on is, like, if they just called this a director's cut, and then they added in some of the Horizon Forbidden West lighting into the game, and like did some other stuff, like maybe made widescreen or or made it like they'll slap a PS5 Pro compat patch on it, whatever. Okay. But for me personally, like, remasters, in my opinion, I think there's so many more games deserving of a remaster, like games that are on like the PS3 generation that a lot of people don't have access to, because out of all the PlayStation consoles, that was like the least popular one, right? Because it was so expensive at the start, and that's when the Xbox 360 was like really kicking off there. So like, there's a ton of games that are just locked to that console, and that's why the Demon's Souls remake on PS5 did so well, because a lot of people didn't have access to that game, and it was amazing to see that game remade. But like, I hear rumors that Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to get like kind of an HD remaster as part of the bundle that's coming out of the Part 2, the Metal Gear bundle, for when Delta Snake Eater comes out. So like, that's cool when they do stuff like that. But like, remastering a game from 2017 that like a lot of people have had the opportunity to play, and it's been out for free a bunch of times, and Like, I don't think, like, I feel like they're just gonna add a few more lighting enhancements, and like maybe like I can't even think of like the quality of life stuff that they'd add from like the second game into the first game.
Well,
but like I don't feel like it's gonna be that much.
Yeah, so let's look at it again from like a psychology optics sort of thing as well. Is they are releasing an MMO for this series, right? That's correct. Like, is that basically all but confirmed?
I thought that was like rumored.
I'm not sure it's going to be an MMO, but it is going to be a multiplayer game.
Yeah,
or multiplayer. Yeah. So if we look at it more from like that standpoint, a psychology side of things, is someone goes on the PlayStation Store and sees 2017, they might go, I won't bother playing it. But if they see a new release, like from a casual gamer, I'm talking about someone who's not in the know, doesn't really look, up to date. They just play once a month. They see a new release. Oh, that looks cool. I might play that. And they might just get some sales just off of that sort of, showing a new release, in quotations, a new release. So maybe they're doing that to get as many new people as possible who weren't interested in playing a game that's now 4 years old, 5-6 years old. And then there's more likely to be a big start, because if it is a multiplayer, then the next Horizon multiplayer, I'm going to say as a prediction, will be day and date on PC. If it's meant to be like multiplayer and like co-op, I feel like it'll be a justification saying it's a live service and it'll be day one on PC.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything's going day one on PC. I'm just saying that I feel like it will be if it's a big push. Yeah. I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, they said anything multiplayer is going to be day one on PC.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart way to do it. Another thing that, okay, so this is a joke, but it made me laugh. There was someone put this meme out, and then they were like, I'm actually stoked for the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster to come out, because that means an even better game is probably going to release within a week or so of that coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the ongoing tradition, because Horizon, all of the Horizon games always release at the worst timing ever. Like, so Horizon Zero Dawn 2017 released just before Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, and that game completely just like snuffed it out. And then they released Forbidden West like a week or two before Elden Ring comes out, and it's just like, why did you not change your release date? Like, it completely got decimated, and it didn't pick up steam until like April, May of that year of 2022, because like that's when people were finally done Elden Ring, and it's like, you should have just delayed it until that time, and then that game would have done so much more better.
To be perfectly honest, though, to defend the studio, did any of us really think or believe that Elden Ring would be as massive as it is before it released? We knew it would be, like, we were pretty confident it would be good, but I don't think we expected it to go into the stratosphere as it did. So I feel like 2021, if you were to ask, is the Horizon Forbidden West release going to be in contention with gamers who are going to play Elden Ring, I think you would have like a 10% overlap of gamers. Like, they're in different
that's
fields.
true. Like, if you're comparing people who were like going to definitely play a FromSoftware game versus the people who would play a Horizon game, but like I don't know, like ever since 2019 when they showed off that first teaser trailer for Elden Ring, and they showed like George R. R. Martin, there was tons of hype, and like you could feel it like leading up to, and then the fact that they announced nothing for like 2 years, and then people were just like making up shit what Elden Ring was going to be. Like, you knew it was going to be big, but that's funny. Like, it was just a funny meme. Like, okay, like they'll put out their remaster, and then some better game will come out, but no, I think we all hit the nail on the head there. It's a smart move for the devs to do. It's a great way to just generate some quick, easy revenue. Like Neil Druckmann said, that Henri brought up. It's a great way to introduce new team members to the game engine, get them a little bit more proficient so you can work on a new project. Do I like it necessarily? No, but do I understand it? Yes. Like, if I were to throw myself and turn the table and be like, if they had a Dark Souls 3 remaster, would I buy it? And it's like, yeah, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Like, if I turn the tables honestly, and I was like, yeah, I could see. So like, other people would be like, you're dumb, and I'd be like, I guess I'm dumb, because I would buy that.
Jimmy, you'd buy it twice. You'd buy it on PS5 and you'd buy it on PC.
I totally would.
So would I.
I think that's a really good take. But great conversation. Like, I think yeah, I think we came at it from like all angles. Again, support what if Horizon is a game that you like and you enjoyed and it's something that you want to get again. Another thing too that we didn't really bring up is like 4 years to us isn't that long, but if you're a new gamer or like you're a younger kid, 4 years is ancient. So like you said, Wara, like if you're like some 12-year-old or 13-year-old, you're like 4 years ago, that's old. Ew. Yeah. But like if you see it just came out this year, then yeah, you're probably more likely to play it.
That's it.
Another thing I want to add is another remaster that we'll be getting is the Freedom Wars remaster. And that game, a lot of people praising this one because that game was locked on the PlayStation Vita. So they're taking it from the PlayStation Vita and updating it and putting it on, current, well, not current gen. It's going to be like a PS4 game technically, but it's going to be on PlayStation, Switch, and PC. And a lot of people are looking to, or you can go to the Vita and get, because they call it, I think they call it the Vita Dungeon or whatever they call it, for all the games that are just locked and stuck on that system. And, I'm on the PlayStation Vita subreddit. A lot of those people who are playing those games, and they were really hyped to see that it was getting remastered and brought to current gen. So they could, go back over there and get a lot of those games. I think another game that was locked over there, I can't remember right now, but like they got a lot of games over there that's locked that they could bring up. Like you can even go back and get the Resistance or the Killzone games that were just stuck on that system and bring them to the console, because some people maybe they just wouldn't bother with going to get a Vita or diving off in that world. I played them; they're good. I feel like if they remastered those over, they would do quite well, because a lot of people are asking for.
No, I like that. Like, see, again, that's on a system that not many people had access to, or like not a lot of people bought into the Vita ecosystem. So I love that when they're bringing those games over to modern consoles that are readily available. So PS4 and the PS5, and then also Switch as well. I love that. So remaster those games. There's tons of games like that are just dying for a remaster.
Yeah, and like if they did remaster Blue Balls, at least they'd be able to bring it over to PC, and so that's why it would make more sense than Horizon Zero Dawn. Did I say Blue Balls? I meant
you did.
I meant Bloodborne.
I was like, what are you talking about? See, we got tired of waiting for Sony to make a fucking remaster or even just put out a 60 FPS patch for Bloodborne. So the PC master race is just, they're emulating it, and it's crushing. Like they're already so close to being, it's almost like in a perfectly playable state, which is insane. And I have the receipts on Twitter of like so many people being like, by the end of 2022, we're going to be getting it on PlayStation. By the end of 2023, we're going to be getting it. It's like, dude, that time's gone and passed. Like they've clearly shown they don't care. They're not doing anything with that game.
Yeah, they don't care. Or either like by the time the PC guys get that version finished and up and running, then they'll announce it.
I would love that. Henri, I was saying that.
Sony's sitting on it.
They're like they see like, okay, they're close, let's just put it out, and then they just put it out. That would be such a G move from Sony if you did. Like, please do that. Like, that would be hilarious.
Get the right now on top of the screen, Jimmy. Like after, put the Woody from Toy Story holding Sora back, going, no, let him cook.
Okay.
And then put Lance McDonald's face over Sora and Sony over. Anyway, that's my joke done. But really good point, Henri. I want to see more games that are stuck on the Vita pulled across. That'd be great. They're great remasters for sure.
I got really excited. I know this wasn't a topic that we put on the list here, but I got really excited when they were talking about PS3 emulation on the PS5. And they were starting to put more PS3 games in the PlayStation Plus subscription, which I thought was really cool. And I thought they figured it out, but I guess they haven't. So I would love to see more of those games that are stuck on PS3 like ported over. Like recently, I wanted to get Metal Gear Solid 4. You can't buy it. Like, you have to buy you have to find a disc version of that. It's not like, even when I boot up my PS3 and go on the PSN store, which is still open, shockingly. Xbox 360 is closed down. You can't buy it. There's a ton of games that you can't buy on there because they've taken them off the store. So I don't know. It sucks that for game preservation. I know that whole argument, but I know there's emulation, which is really good. So like even Armored Core 4 and Armored Core 4 Answer, those two games that were directed by Miyazaki, those got really popular when Armored Core 6 got announced. I bought my copies off of eBay, and then they canceled them because the price went up. So they canceled them and then raised the price. And I was like, well, I'm not spending that much on those games.
Scumbag.
So I just ended up emulating them, and I played them really like. That's one of my favorite things about PC. And a lot of people make that like, oh, you like stealing games. It's like, well, I would love to be able to buy them, but there isn't an avenue for me to buy them other than to pay some scalper or like some person an absorbent price for a game that they've gotten secondhand for like dirt cheap. And none of that money is going to the developer anyway. So that's why I love being able to emulate some of these older games, and then you get to play them in like 4K or unlocked frame rates. And then people in the community make like new reshades for the lighting and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, there's a lot of cool stuff. And then I think a lot of people, they don't want to go through all of those hoops to like get a PC that can do emulation and like set that crap up, because a lot of it's not user friendly. They just want a way to buy the game on their current system. And so that's why I love, like, you're getting PSV Vita games remastered, brought over, and then people can play these games that were probably like bangers, just hidden bangers, sitting there rotting on a system, like you said in that dungeon Discord, the Vita dungeon.
The Vita dungeon. That's what.
And then now they're getting a chance to play them, which I think is really cool.
That is good. And you do make a good point about buying a secondhand old copy of a really old gen or PC game isn't supporting the devs. That's a very good point. I think it's a very valid point. Like, yeah,
because last week we were talking about Silent Hill 2 remake, and then I asked Max if he had played the first two. He's like, no, I wanted to get them for my PS2, but they're like ridiculously priced. I was like, well, that sucks. And it's just like, and you can't really buy them legit anywhere else, I don't think. Like, I could check my PSN on my PS3, because I know you can buy PS1 and PS2 games there. But still, it's just like a lot of times the only option is emulation, which is kind of a shame. And a lot of people just want a legit way to play these games.
All right, so a couple of weeks ago, we did a segment when I did my mechanical talk, and it was on the Nemesis system. And we all agreed, Max, you and I agreed that patenting game mechanics and locking them down is not good for innovation. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for creativity for devs. And it makes it so smaller devs are much less likely to get even close to other things that exist if they're patented, because they don't want to get a lawsuit. So what is the point of me bringing this up again? It's because Nintendo is suing Palworld. Now, at first I was like, you know what? There are a lot of similarities. I showed a photo of Palworld to my partner this morning and said, what's this? And I said, it's called Pokemon with guns. And she's like, holy hell, that's exactly what it is. And then she's like, that's Lucario. She literally pointed at the character and said, that's Lucario. Now, I said, well, actually, they're not getting sued because of likeness of characters, because technically Pokemon copied other games. So they didn't even come up with it. And, they didn't come up with it themselves. And so I explained, and I was looking into it, and Asmongold did a video, and I watched that, and I was looking into it as well. But that's part of where I got the information. Is they filed a patent in March or May? I can't remember which month it was. May
of this year.
Yeah. After the game released into early access and was exploding on PC and on Xbox consoles. And why does this annoy me? This annoys me because they put in a patent after a game releases and started saying, oh, they're copying me. It's like, you've had Pokemon and how Pokemon works for 20 years and you didn't bother patenting it until
for almost
now.
30 years, since 1996.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, well, I said it's like 20 because it's like they wouldn't have painted it straight off the bat. It's like after they've defined what their game is, and anyway. So the point is that the patent isn't about the character designs. It's about throwing.
It's the Pokeball.
The Pokeball is about throwing something and capturing it and it becoming a slave, effectively. So like it just, and a lot of people are bringing up the Nemesis system. I've seen a lot of commentary about, the Nemesis system was painted and that's bad. And I'm just like, good. I'm glad everyone else agrees, because we spoke about it, before this happened a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago now. And it does just reiterate what we said then. It's just, I hope that Nintendo can't just keep patenting ideas, especially after other games come out and do so well. I didn't like, I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't like that the marketing was Pokemon with guns, and it was so close to Pokemon. But at the same time, Nintendo has been around for so long. If they were actually doing well with their Pokemon IP, then they shouldn't feel, what's the word? Jealous, like not jealous, but paranoid. I can't think of the word, but like paranoid that someone else would take their success from them. Just keep doing a good job and they can coexist. But at the same time, Palworld didn't put forward marketing. We are Pokemon with guns. That was just the reception, was that it was close, similar. But just being similar doesn't mean that X Defiant by Ubisoft is copying Call of Duty. They can coexist. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Did you have any thoughts, Henry? Sorry, I ranted for a bit about it, but yeah.
For all of us in North America, War is saying the word patent, by the way. So,
I'm saying patent. Sorry, patent. Sorry, it's probably said. I'm probably just saying it wrong. It's sorry. Go ahead, Henry. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah.
But since so would they then be able to go after a game like Temtem? Because don't you throw something in that game too to capture the creatures?
Yep. And my recommendation for today, I'll say it after, but yeah. Go continue. Yeah, like the game recommendation.
You got.
Sorry, I got something. Yeah. But yeah, go with you.
And then there's another game called it's kind of like Pokemon called Nexomon also. So they probably could potentially go after all of them if it's about the throwing situation.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
100%.
Yeah, like I think this whole thing was just a malicious attempt to be able to go after some sort of legal way to attack Palworld. So I feel like the reason why they didn't do anything earlier is because they had no grounds. They had no basis to be able to sue them or to like claim copyright infringement. Because like you said before, they've even like could be claimed for that for the monsters that they copied in other games or other things before Pokemon was even a thing. So they were very malicious about this, and they looked for something particular, and that's why they patented that particular game mechanic. Because they could claim that they did it first in 1996, and like and then that they're aping that out. And that really sucks. Another thing that sucks too is that Nintendo has a perfect record for winning litigation in Japan. So there is a very, very high chance that they will win this lawsuit.
Yeah.
I feel like the outcome for that is Palworld will just have to release an update that changes that mechanic, and it won't be a ball. They'll have to think of some other thing where you can capture the pals in that game. But this is a big L for the gaming community, because I get it that each of these devs and studios and publishers have to protect their IP, but I feel like for these certain things, like it's doing more harm than it is good. And I don't know, like I think that's a low blow. Like I feel like the better way that, and you kind of touched on this, Wara, I think the better way that Nintendo could have shown that they're the top dog is, how about make a better game, make a better Pokemon game, and then just like show why you're the best at it. Because
confidence is the word I was looking for.
Because I feel like they kind of just got a little lazy the last few years, and that's why they've just been okay releasing like these really buggy versions of their games. And I would make the same argument when it comes to Sony right now, when it comes to like their PS5 Pro announcement. It's just like, would they have been more aggressive if Xbox was doing a lot better? I think so. But because Xbox is kind of like MIA this generation, in my opinion, Sony's able to just do these kinds of things and like charge $700 for a console when times are tough for a lot of people. And it's just like, where previous generations, the Pro console just took over the primary price of the launch console, and then they made a slim model for cheaper. And then this generation, we haven't even gotten a price reduction. We've gotten price increases. And I think that's because of competition. So when you have things like this where you're able to patent a game mechanic, that doesn't help competition, that decreases competition. So I think this is a big L for the industry.
All right. So our next segment is the BGR Recommends. So a non-popular, non-current game release that we recommend to viewers. Briefly talk about why you recommend it and the primary mechanics and what platform it's on. And I'll let you go first, Henry.
Yes, I do have
yes,
one
please,
actually.
please.
I will say Ender Lilies, Quietist, Nights. It's a Metroidvania game. The sequel coming out too. It's on everything. It's like it's not. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I want to get booted off the band off the show for saying Souls like. It's not.
I'll kick him off right now.
Yeah, because it's got some difficulty to it, but it's not that. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
The character you play as is a princess. And she doesn't actually attack herself. She uses spirits of like warriors to do the attacks for her. So you'll select like I think 3 different ones. So you have 3 different attacks. And also each of these warriors, they can also give you certain abilities like flying and swimming and stuff like that. The soundtrack is awesome. The art style is awesome. The basic with synopsis is you kind of wake up from your slumber and it's this plague kind of that's like killed off the kingdom in a way, so you gotta fight through all the demons and whatnot and try to make things right, if you will, you know what I mean. And then the sequel is technically, they say it's a prequel, so I'm guessing you'll be playing through that as like before the sickness overtook the kingdom, you know what I mean. So it's a pretty good game. It's I think it's only like 12 hours long, and it's solid. Soundtrack is great. I listen to the soundtrack all the time. Combat is challenging, but it's still fun. Like you can probably, since y'all Souls guys, y'all probably knock out the bosses pretty quick. It takes me 3-4 times to get through a boss, and it's different mechanics, and you got to learn the patterns and timing and whatnot. Awesome game, highly recommended, and it's also on every platform, but it's on PlayStation Plus if y'all want to check that out.
Okay, it's funny that Henry brought up like kind of like a Metroidvania. This isn't really a Metroidvania. This is like kind of just like a side scroller story action game. I don't know if I'd call it action, but this is a totally random one for me. But I think it's a French title. It's called Gris, so GRIS.
I know that.
Yeah, it's a 2D kind of platformer game, and it's just a cool experience. Like, it's a really chill game. It's got really amazing art direction, and it's one of those games that you can like just smash out in like 4 to 6 hours. But I don't know, there's no dialogue in the game. It's all done with just like audio effects and music and stuff. And the art direction is just, it's really there. And I think the studio has a new game coming out pretty quickly here, but I definitely recommend Gris to everybody. Like, it's just, if you're looking for like a good palate cleanser in between like a big game, like if you just finished a really long game and you don't have like, when you finish like a really long game and you don't have like the emotional capacity to start another really long game, it's a perfect in-between game. And I think it's available on all platforms as well, and you can get it for like really inexpensive. So it's called Gris. Definitely check it out. I highly recommend. I know it's not a game that you would think that I'd recommend, but definitely a good time, good chill, relaxed time.
Okay, well, I was going to recommend a different game, but I'm going to change it since we're doing 2D games today. So I'm going to recommend Limbo. It's on
another great one.
It's on everything. It's a game. It's like a bit of a puzzle game, 2D. There's no like combat or anything like that in it. It's just you're playing like a silhouette of a character, and you're in a world that you got to get to the end of, get out of this sort of dark and dreary place. There's yeah, like so it's a puzzle game, and there's a few challenges that you might find a little difficult if you're not the best with puzzles. But I found it very enjoyable. It's done in like say 4 to 5 hours, depending on how much you sort of stare at the scenery. But yeah, I don't think it's a overly long game from memory. I think. How long did it take you, Jimmy? You've played it as well.
I think it took me like 3 hours.
Okay, yeah.
But
Cool.
like definitely like Wara watched me play because I did it live. And there was one puzzle I was just miserable at, and Wara was probably having a hell of a time just laughing at me because like he was like, how was he not getting it? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's harder. Yeah, it's harder when you're under pressure and you're streaming. I get that. Yeah, as well. But yeah,
that's I love games like that. Like I would way rather like a tight 4 to 10 hour game than like a bloated 35-hour game that just like has a bunch of like, you could tell that they padded a lot of stuff. I would way rather like a really tight experience. And sometimes those are just like great games to play, like those games that don't take you that long or only take a few hours.
Yeah, and like I agree 100%. Like there's only with a game like that, there's only so many, like with puzzle games in general, there's only so many different ways they can twist their puzzle setup they have in a game. So if they keep making it so that you're just rehashing the same puzzles, you'll just get bored of it. And or they just make it too difficult, like because there is a little bit of jumping and I don't know that the word is, I can't think of the word at the moment, where you're just like parkouring, like jumping around and stuff like that. And you got to flick switches in quick succession and stuff like that. But if you love it enough, there's a second game that development studio made called Inside, and
Inside's great. Yeah.
But the game I was going to recommend, but it was Bug Snacks.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's what I brought up to my missus, because she's platinum Bug Snacks, and I said, in that game, I can't remember, do you throw things? Because I was talking about the patent. Sorry. No, which one is it? Which one? What's the? Can you say it again?
Patent.
Patent. There we go. Patent. Talking to her about that, and I was wondering how many other games that Nintendo is going to go after, or whether they're just going to target Palworld. Probably because just Palworld. But yeah. I think that's a great selection of games that we recommend. So like again, it doesn't have to always be AAA. Like there's some great 2D games, some great platformer games out there that need to be played. Well, thank you again, Henri, for coming on as a guest. Did you want to just let us know where everyone can find you?
Oh yeah, you can find me at YouTube. It's just HenriHeck. You can find me on X. It's just Henri. PSN HenriHeck. That's about it, man. That's where I am.
What's the next video you got coming out on your channel?
I actually do not know. I kind of put my stuff together based upon like whatever I see while I'm at work, and if it's something that I feel like putting something together on, then I will. Because I always got like gameplay saved that I can use as the backdrop and then just voice over. So like whenever some kind of news or just whatever I feel like talking about at the time, I'll hop on, and I don't necessarily plan ahead. Usually when I try to plan something ahead, I end up not doing it. You know what I mean? or
you know how you
something more pressing comes up. So
I
kind of whatever I feel like saying at that time.
So we'll put all his links in the description. So definitely make sure you go check out Henri and all of his platforms, and then give him a like and subscribe. And again, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Our first guest, and we hope you enjoyed being on our show and being in our totally real studio. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yes, sir.
Laura, send us off.
All right, yeah. So catch you guys next time. This has been BGR Podcast Episode 6, and put a comment down below what you think Game of the Year is going to be. All right, cheers.
Yes, sir.